Hello, I'm Jan Mulvey and you're watching the Redmen TV.
Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the Uncensored match build-up show before Liverpool host Leicester City on New Year's Day. I'm joined by Chris Pajak, Jack Hart and John Wainship to build up to this game. First of all, Chris, fantastic result against Swansea City. It sort of goes without saying, but it's vital that Liverpool continue that form and continue to get wins in games like this.
It is, yeah, and what's vital is we continue to play the same brand of football at home, because it's been pretty boring going to Anfield this season compared to last season. And just to see us score a few goals again, and look, 2 or 3 goals, if we can get 2 or 3 goals against Leicester, I've been made up with that. I think the defence is looking much improved as well, but most importantly, it's what John was talking about on the subscription shows this week. It's Lallana, Coutinho and Sterling, and keeping those 3 together and building on the understanding that they've already got.
Yeah, definitely. I think Chris is right there, Jack. You know, it's daft and it sounds a little bit selfish because ultimately a win's a win and you'd be happy with 3 points, and that is the most important thing. But I think he's right. You know, from a fan's perspective, we've been pretty poor at Anfield so far this season. You know, and okay, yeah, last season was just bloody exceptional, wasn't it? But I think Chris is right. You know, at home, Anfield needs to get back to being that place that other teams just are genuinely terrified of turning up against.
I said in the post-match, Monday night was the marrying together of performance and result, and we've ended the year on what's been, you know, we've steadied the ship, and then that's a great way, that win, to end the year. Let's turn that into some sort of momentum and start really well in the new year. Get on a decent run of points, results, and start closing the gap to the teams above us. Showing that we're still in it. Yeah,
that's it. I mean, it was just so encouraging. We've obviously done this. We've just done our end of year review show on the redmentv.com, which is boss, 2-parter. Go and check it out. But it's great to see that we're going into 2015 positive. You know. And it was it's been a culmination. It's been building up for a month or so, but showing against Swansea that we could score goals again and dominate a match
and entertain.
Yeah, means I'm looking forward to this game as much as any as I probably have done.
Well, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Yeah. I'm really at that point now, thinking, we can push this on. And you know, it's 1 defeat in 10 games, and a lot of them games were rubbish, and we didn't get great results. They've been draws and stuff, but that's still momentum. You know, as Jack was talking about, momentum is really important. And if we can go on now and get a couple of good wins under our belt at the start of the year, you know, you're moving to 12 games, 13 games, 14, you know, then you start to push on. And we actually have got to kick on now and try and catch up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think, Kish, I don't know whether you agree or not, but we just can't afford any more poor results. You know, we're going to drop points between now and the end of the season, but Leicester at home, you know, it's and this is massively disrespectful to Leicester. Let's not dress it up, but you know, this is a team coming. This is a newly promoted team who are struggling around the relegation zone, coming to Anfield. These are the kind of teams that Liverpool need to send a message against.
We do massively. I think one of the problems that Rodgers is going to have is that I think Leicester are going to come and they're not going to try and play football, and I think that's the right way to come and play Liverpool. And only through our form being much improved are we going to be able to break them down, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, we've really struggled against teams with 2 banks of 4 who are very rigid in defence and who basically come to park the bus. But with the likes of Phil Coutinho and Lallana and Sterling playing the way they are at the moment, with the confidence that they are, we really need to go and prove to these teams that you can't do this at Anfield anymore. And it's important to set a marker for the rest of the season, because if we can break down these teams, they'll have to come with another game plan.
Yeah.
And we need to force these teams to come with another game plan.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that in some respects, if a team's going to come and park the bus, Jack, you kind of want it to be one of the relegation and battled sides, because it's good practice. You don't want it to be. You don't want Chelsea. You don't want West Ham right now, because we're only just getting up to speed.
I said in the final word show, we're learning how to do things over again and learning how to break down those teams. You know, we've not been doing it of late, so it's something we need to start getting used to again. I mean, I wonder whether, with that in mind, you'd be looking maybe at this game against Leicester and thinking of bringing Markovic back in.
Definitely
on
a
either
possibility,
side at a wing back, you know, and looking to have a bit of a spark from deeper on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
Might be something worth considering.
It's a very, very good question. I was going to come to you with this, Dad, so Jack segued perfectly. Thanks very much, Mr. Hart. How do we approach this one? Because we've seen a similar system, but two variations on it in the last week or so, as Jack sort of alluded to there. When we've had Markovic playing sort of a left wing backy role, and Henderson out to the right, Gerrard playing in the middle. Then against Swansea, we mixed it up big time. Got the full backs back in there as wing backs. Henderson central. Do we stick with the side that did so well against Swansea, or do we go for a more attacking option?
I mean, everyone is pointing out that Chelsea have practically had the same 11 on the pitch all season. And there's something to be said for keeping a team together that's winning. You know, and the meritocracy, of course, should work. But, you know, Rodgers has got his issues. He's got to decide, does Steven Gerrard come back in? You know, he played 3 games in a week and then, you know, got rested for 1. Is that enough? Does he come back in? And if so, does that shove Henderson out to the wing? And for me, that starts to mess with something that's actually working better.
Yeah.
It was working okay until we got to Burnley, although we ground out the results. And we created chances against Arsenal, against United, but we didn't win those games.
Yeah.
Suddenly against Swansea, with different personnel, we had much more pace, much more fluency.
Yeah.
It would be daft for me to change it. But I'm also aware that the number of games doesn't stop just yet. We've got another game Monday night.
Yeah.
You know, and then we're playing the next weekend. You know, you've got to use your squad to some extent, but minimum amount of changes, I think, is the way to go.
I think that's the big question, isn't it, Chris? And it boils down to Gerrard and Henderson. The Henderson question is: Jordan Henderson bringing more to that position than Steven Gerrard was when he was in the other week, or are you getting less out of Henderson by having to move him back to a position? Because I don't think Henderson offered anything really other than being a good solid engine on that right hand side.
Oh no,
Prior to that,
Henderson's performance against Swansea was up there with the best of his performances this season. Look, he got 2 assists. All right, one was John Joe Shelby, but that ball for Sterling as well, that hit the post and stuff. And the positions that he was getting into better positions than when he was playing wide on the right.
his corners were fantastic.
Yeah,
That was the money.
We had the early chance, didn't we, Martin Skrtel at the back post, and that was his delivery. And I think the only poor corner that we had in the game was Coutinho's. Henderson was consistent throughout with delivery. So
There's also the fact that, you know, is Gerrard going to give us more in the middle than Henderson? Is Henderson going to give us more on the right than Mankia?
Well, that's the question.
You know?
Is Gerrard guaranteed to bring enough that it's worth sacrificing the good that Henderson brought in that position? You know what I mean? Is it worth to sacrifice Henderson again? And that's another big question for Brendan Rodgers to answer. It's one I'm glad I don't have to answer.
And it's not, oh, well, Gerrard's finished and he shouldn't play. It's Henderson's done a really good job there. Should we keep him there on the basis of that?
Yeah.
You know, or should we just forget that? We've got to bring Gerrard in, which seems wrong in a way.
I think that's right. I think we've got to look at it and say, yes, Gerrard was rested for that game, but Jordan Henderson was given his opportunity. I think he seized it with both hands, and I think now, if we're gonna go with what you're saying about having some consistency, that's now Henderson's place to lose and Steven Gerrard's to win back.
The next game's going to be away in the cup to AFC Wimbledon. We're going to change the team then anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, why change it now?
Yes.
You know, let's wait till then.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. It's interesting to know people's thoughts on that. Obviously, on the Steven Gerrard, I've seen the comments go, Gerrard's finished. Again, you see, it happens every single time. He either gets rested or he has a poor game. He's finished. He's done. He's not finished. You know, what we're hopefully in is that this is fantastic that we're having this debate. We're in a position to say Jordan Henderson's actually stepped up and has performed better than Steven Gerrard. We're not, you know, it's great to say, how does Gerrard get back in? Let Brendan Rodgers and Steven Gerrard worry about that. I think
this is what gets me. I did the comments below show and we had loads of people going, Steven Gerrard's finished. Can't we just focus on the fact that Henderson played well?
Yeah.
Why are we focusing on a player who sat on the fucking bench?
Yeah.
You know, it's really not about Steven Gerrard at this point. It is about the players that performed on the pitch. Support them, watch them do the job. If they perform well, they get to keep the place. It's that simple.
I also think, and to lean in the way you're framing it, Jordan Henderson's good performance meant that Lucas played much better as well, and it meant that Emre Can had the space to step out of the defence and influence play in front of him. And when you've got two who are more naturally prone to sitting deeper in the midfield, he's not going to be able to do that. Saka on the other side can't quite do that.
We had no slow players in that team. Against
and we didn't have Gerrard backing into Skrtel's space all the time, which is what we've been happening. Two people in one man's space, it seems pointless.
Yeah,
because that team is the future, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
look, Steven Gerrard's a fantastic footballer, and we'll see that again at some point this season. Like I say, there's just no right now, based on the performance against Swansea, actually no need to put him back in yet. You know, let him have a few games off, let him stew, let him stay, let him watch the game from the bench, so that when he does come back in, it's the Gerrard that's all blood and thunder and flying around the pitch and giving everything he's got. I want to see that
in for the cup time.
Yeah. Maybe.
Because as I said, he's definitely going to make changes for that game. He's not going to play, you know, all his best players. That's a perfect opportunity to rest players, and you know, you're not making changes to your Premiership side.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. As I say, let us know if you disagree with any of that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The only change that's going to have to be made is Martin Skrtel, the phantom short ripper, is suspended for this game after picking up another yellow card against Swansea, which means presumably Kolo's just going to drop straight in there with a thought.
Yeah.
It's a shame because actually Skrtel's is an inconsistent centre half, isn't he? But it's another the big annoying factor of that is that you kind of want a bit of consistency. If, you know, we're going to have
a nice goal threat, Skrtel.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's only scored one this season, but he's always a threat in the air.
Good header against Swansea.
Yeah, and if you play, you know, a team that is parking the bus, if that's what Leicester do, then corners and free kicks are important.
Yeah, I think we're kind of. I think you maybe made the point there. Kolo's going away to the African Cup of Nations, so kind of good that Skrtel's got the suspension out of the way to some extent.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Well, I know, but he wouldn't have got it if he'd survived last night.
Is that, or would it have been wiped out?
It's wiped out.
That's
why he's an idiot.
Yeah, right,
that's why he's an idiot.
All right, fair enough.
Because he didn't need to.
Well, that's not why he's an idiot. He just is an idiot.
No, it's not why he's an idiot because he was just a brain cell.
Slovakian bottled milk as a child, perhaps the reason that he's not quite as clever as he could be. But no, that and eating nails for breakfast, perhaps, I don't know. Yeah, he is an idiot. It's a shame, but it's kind of worked out nicely in some respects as well that Emre Can's come into the centre back position. Yeah, I mean it's good that it's good that we've seen Emre Can can do a decent job in there. I'd be concerned if all of a sudden we were trying to replace two centre halves, you know, out of a back three, whereas, you know, we're only making swap for swap. I don't mind Toure. I kind of want to see Toure alongside Saka.
I prefer Toure to be the centre anyway. You know, I don't feel comfortable with Toure in the right hand side of the three at all, because Emre Can proved that I think against Swansea that he can pick the ball up and he can move forward with it. I'm just not comfortable when Toure does it.
Kolo can do it, but it's not natural to him, is it? Yeah, as I've always said, he does a very good impression of a world class centre half that he's obviously learned from watching the likes of Vincent Kompany over his career.
It's a bit like when we used to have, you know, in the Champions League winning season, and Bishkan would be making these fantastic, powerful driving runs through the midfield, and it just didn't quite look right. It worked.
I remember that game. He did one against Crystal Palace, didn't he, in the cup, and it was like, oh look, that's what he can do. Yeah. Okay, let's have some score predictions. What do you think?
3-0.
3-0.
Another 4-1.
Ooh. Okay.
You know, I used to put money every game on 4-1 because at least twice a season it would come up and you'd win an awful lot of money because it would be like 30 odd to 1 or 35 to 1. And then we got Rafa Benitez and it stopped.
You should have done that last season.
I didn't put any money on it last night.
Yeah.
Both teams to score was the one last season.
Yeah, it was,
yeah. No, I was going to go for 3-0 prior to Swansea, then changed it to 3-1. So I'm gonna say the same. I think a 3-1. I think a 3-1 to Liverpool.
I want a clean sheet. I'm praying we have
I want a clean sheet, and I actually think this is the best opportunity we're likely to have one. Weirdly, but you're daft to say that Liverpool. You'd have to predict. No, but you're not. You'd have to predict. You're not putting. You're not putting your mortgage on a clean sheet, are you? Yeah, exactly. Let us know your score predictions in the comments below. Let us know how you think Liverpool should line up. Should we go more attacking? Should the likes of Markovic, come back in, Steven Gerrard come in, are you happy with Toure coming in straight into the middle of the back three, etc, etc. Should Danny Ward get a go in goal? Probably not, but you know, if you fancy being controversial.
More interesting when we play in the cup tie, will he get a go and go?
I really hope so. I really hope he does.
I know Joe probably.
I know Joe as well. Yeah. Anyway, let us know your thoughts and on anything else Liverpool related in the comments below. And don't forget, go on to redmentv.com for the 2014 end of year review show special. 2 parts, over an hour and 10 minutes in total of fantastic Liverpool chat, rating Liverpool's summer signings now that some of them are not as shit as we thought they were 6 weeks ago, looking back on the year as a whole, and of course looking ahead to what we want from January transfer window, who Liverpool should be buying, who we should be selling, etc, etc. Fantastic shows. It is free for a month. redmentv.com. Go and check it out. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and enjoy the game. Cheers.
Adam Lallana, though, I said this to a couple of people in the post-match interviews. You know, he's a senior player we've signed, we've spent a lot of money on him, and the return he's given us hasn't been good enough, I don't think.